How do you stand out as a trusted company? Because you almost have to treat your online site or landing page or store or service or whatever you want to call landing page as an offline store. You need to walk into that store. You need to gain their trust first and foremost. You need social proof.
Today we meet Oliver Kenyon, the co-founder of ConversionWise. Oliver is the original landing page guy and has been optimizing landing pages since 2013.
Oliver's company ConversionWise boasts a team of over 35 conversion rate experts, collaborating with more than 3,500 brands, including giants like Lamborghini, Lionel Messi, and Kim Kardashian.
But to start with, you want to get the fundamentals right.
At ConversionWise, their philosophy is very simple. They help brands turn clicks into customers with their proven conversion rate solutions.
Today, we're delving into some exciting topics, including how to easily increase conversions on your landing page, how ConversionWise grew to become an industry-leading agency, and diving deep into ConversionWise's YouTube strategy and funnel.
We've come up with frameworks which are, if you implement these, they're going to be 99% better than what you already had. Big no-nos that we see repeatedly are things like, so instead of flipping that content to be more benefit-driven, to be like, okay, when you qualify for this course, we're going to set you up with a job that gives you the lifestyle you want. You're going to have the income that you want. You're going to be able to spend more time with your family because of taking this course. You're going to take more vacations. You're going to be able to work from anywhere in the world. That's what people really want to hear.
Stay tuned for YouTube insights you won't find anywhere else. This is the Playstack podcast, where we talk about everything YouTube growth. Hey, Oliver, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. Just to get started, could you share a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, boys, for inviting me. Really excited. So, a little bit about me. Depends how much context you want, but been in kind of the entrepreneur / digital marketing space probably now for, I would say, over 20 years. Currently CEO, co-founder of an agency called ConversionWise. We are a large conversion rate optimization agency. We do CRO and we also do landing page design and development. Been in the space for 11 years now. Have a team of 42 people currently, and we do all things conversions.
Because ConversionWise isn't actually, as you mentioned, you've been in kind of the digital marketing space for a long time, and ConversionWise isn't your first company. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know you've had at least one of your companies acquired, I think, by Neil Patel's investment agency. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so ConversionWise definitely isn't my first company or first venture. I put myself now, after maybe 20 years, into the kind of cliche box of serial entrepreneur. I think that just means that you try a load of stuff fails, but one or two things work, and you kind of take them as far as you can. So that's kind of what we've done over the last 20 years. It's all very well and easy and good to talk about all the successes and the company I have now and the company I sold, which are absolutely right. But in between that is probably another 20, 30 ideas that didn't work. But yes, one exit so far. Back in 2017, which was an affiliate marketing community, the largest affiliate marketing community online, which we sold for seven-figure sum to Neil's investment company. Correct.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What I find interesting is that, so a lot of our audience are content creators, particularly YouTube. They have YouTube channels, and the YouTube funnel is relatively, our typical YouTube funnel is relatively simple, right? There are three parts. You've got the traffic engine, which is often YouTube. Then you have the monetization engine, which is the product or service that you're selling. And then you have the kind of middle component, which is the sales engine. And that includes the like lead magnets, the landing pages, email funnels, those kind of things. And this is something that I didn't realize how important landing page conversions were until hearing some of your mastermind calls. And we had a call, I think maybe a month ago or a month and a half ago, and I completely changed my landing page and optimized the landing page, and sales have significantly increased. Like not even slightly, but I mean, it was terrible to begin with, but like it's way better now. And I think that there's so many YouTube channels out there that are kind of selling a product, but they don't understand how unoptimized their YouTube channel is. And I know that, or I think that, because I was one of those people.
Sure.
And it's kind of like you're kind of I don't know, it's a missed opportunity, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. You're 100% right. First and foremost, thank you for the glowing testimonial. I will be stealing that one. I appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. I've got some good video guys. But no, for context, I use these guys for all my videos. They're amazing. But yeah, I appreciate that feedback. And you're right. It's often a piece of the puzzle that people miss. You come so fixated over your kind of your product or growing your audience, traffic. In my world, we do a lot of e-com. And everyone is fixated with traffic. How do I get more traffic, cheaper traffic, different types of traffic, et cetera, when if you actually stop, the biggest lever you can move in your company, especially when it comes to e-com, and the way you can actually make more revenue in the quickest possible way without huge expenditure is conversion rate optimization or landing page optimization. It's actually taking what you've already got, taking the exact same people that are landing on that page, and just optimizing and converting more clicks into customers. And that's exactly what we teach. We do for clients. That's exactly what we did with you guys, and you guys thankfully have had success with. But you're right. It's often a piece that kind of gets a little bit forgotten, for sure.
And not only us, right? Because obviously, like why we're talking about this is because we implemented that into our mastermind. We got you guys on board, and you've probably audited in our mastermind alone like a good dozen of them, and I think half of those also hired you guys to do that, and we only hear like good results from there on. So it has proven that, and we have like different niches for our clients are in different niches, right? So it has proven to work. But you've audited and optimized probably like thousands of landing pages over time. What are, according to you, the most common mistakes, or what parts are like the most unoptimized on a landing page when you check it out?
Yeah, great question. I think the key here is you mentioned that there's multiple people in multiple different markets, niches, etc. And yes, conversion rate optimization is all about the individual. It's all about your unique audience, your offer, your site. However, there are best practices. And what we've tried to do for the past 10 years is almost write a book without writing a book on those best practices. We've come up with frameworks which are, if you implement these, they're going to be 99% better than what you already had. Then you can go into what we call ongoing CRO, where you look at data analysis, you do A/B testing, user testing, etc. But to start with, you basically want to get the fundamentals right. And there's a lot of ways to get fundamentals wrong. Of course there is, but it's easier to actually get them right by focusing on what moves the needle. And there's some big conversion principles, we call them, that actually can move the needle. One being social proof. So testimonials, reviews, it's a lot of what I say is just common sense. When you hear it, you go, oh yeah, why didn't I do that? Testimonials, if you don't have a testimonial, or the amount of reviews you have as a business above the fold, which is the bit that loads when you load your landing page, you're leaving money on the table. Trust and credibility is a huge one. So how can you make your brand, your agency, your service, your product come across to the consumer as one that they can trust? Leveraging things like trust seals. How long have you been in business? How many people have you worked with? Do you have a satisfaction guarantee? Do you have a money back guarantee? Are you, in e-com, are you vegan friendly? Are you made in the US? How do you stand out as a trusted company? Because you almost have to treat your online site or landing page or store or service or whatever you want to call landing page as an offline store. You need to walk into that store. You need to gain their trust first and foremost. You need social proof. And it's very similar to the online game. Handling objections is a huge one. So having things like FAQs on your page is a great way to handle any friction points or objections. For example, if you want to come and work with me in my CRO agency, you might have tens of questions in the back of your mind that you have unanswered before you want to then maybe book in a call. So why not just put those questions on the landing page and answer them? So there's various ways. Value proposition and an offer is huge, having a very compelling offer, but also showcasing that in the way of having that value showcased on your page is huge. I mean, big no-nos that we see repeatedly are things like not having a call to action above the fold, not having social proof above the fold, having, it sounds stupid, but still having like traffic distractions. So things like social icons in your header where people will just click them and then they're lost in the eco space of Facebook and they're never coming back to your site. So traffic leaks are huge. not explaining to people in layman's terms. Often people overcomplicate CRO. So, if I land on your website and within the first 5 seconds, I can't understand what you do and what the benefit is for me, it's a big no, and I'm going to probably bounce. So yeah, there's loads of little things, but it's really those fundamentals of trust, social proof, handling objections, and getting the value across and the benefit to the consumer. There's a huge mistake, actually, man. It's a good question, but there's a huge mistake that most people make, and I've made it myself, and I'm a self-obsessed addict of CRO, and I made it myself. But when you create a service or a product or a course, and we've all been there, and you become so obsessed with how good it is and the shiny objects that you've put into it, that's all you talk about. We've got 12 courses, we've got this video, we've got 16 hours of content, we've got quizzes you can take, we've got a certificate at the end, and that's all you talk about on your landing page. When really the consumer only cares about what is the actual outcome of those features. So instead of flipping that content to be more benefit driven, to be like, okay, when you qualify for this course, we're going to set you up with a job that gives you the lifestyle you want. You're going to have the income that you want. You're going to be able to spend more time with your family because of taking this course. You're going to take more vacations. You're going to be able to work from anywhere in the world. Like, that's what people really want to hear. But there's definitely a kind of mistake, which I've made before, where you just fixate on like, mine's better than yours and this is why. But that's not what people want to hear, and that's not what converts customers.
Yeah, I remember when you did a landing page audit for me, one of the things that really stuck out was on my landing page, I did have like kind of a story of how my landing page, on my YouTube channel, I'm selling a course on how to improve grades. So it's targeted at students. And I kind of talked about my own story about how I didn't get very good grades at school, and then I kind of turned that around at university and graduated with quite good grades. Yeah. And I went through a bit of a story, but when we had the kind of audit, you really kind of drilled in how, sure, I have a story, but it wasn't really, I didn't really communicate how difficult my journey was and how I managed to overcome them and the kind of transformation. So I did have a story, but it just wasn't an optimized story. It wasn't particularly an interesting story when it could have been way more interesting.
Emotions are everything. So I always say, like, pulling on heartstrings, like, people will connect with real people. So if you tell your story and you open up about the pains and the struggles you went through, as opposed to just going like you kind of originally did, is like, I wasn't very good at school, I then did all right at uni, and now look at me. But actually delving into those pain points so people can associate with them, calling out the problem authority solution, we call it, but, setting up the problem so people read it and they just associate, oh my God, like Mike had sleepless nights, or, he was worried that his parents weren't proud of him because he was failing at school, or what, those little intricacies can make all the difference. Then setting yourself up for an authority is like, okay, well, this is what I am now. This is the lifestyle I have now. That's that transformation of like, I have this problem. I want to get to here. Now I travel the world. I have millions of subscribers on YouTube. I work on my own terms. I have not an abundance, but, I have money and I can make decisions, blah, blah, blah. And then setting the solution. So you go problem, authority, and then you go, not straight away. You then go, here's the solution. I've become so obsessed with my journey and how I went from pain to solution that I want to affect more people, and I want more people to do the same. So I created this course. And I think it was when we started to tell that story with the pain points, and then the benefits you were seeing as an outcome of what you did, and hopefully other people can do, is then when you set that solution up and then people want to purchase.
Yeah, for sure. One of the favorite things so obviously when we talk to people and trying to talk about Playstack and what we do, we incorporate ConversionWise into the bigger picture, right? And then actually a lot of people don't realize that conversion is a big thing. And then if I like consult or mention something about it, my favorite thing is the least amount of distractions. Like you mentioned, like having your socials on the top is one of them, but also like conflicting call to action. So, or like having multiple call to action. So it's like, but what do you want them to do? Like you have your one on the top right, like most people do, but then the first one is like, oh, do something else, and then do something else, and it was okay. What do you want people to do? So my favorite one, and this actually also translates into whatever you do with your content, right? Like at the end of your video, you're having a call to action. Make that one call to action, and that's one of my favorites that always sticks around, because that's probably also one of the most common ones. So I mean, you mentioned a few. If you had to choose one, like one thing to improve on a landing page, even I know it's very difficult because there's different niches, but what would it be?
The biggest thing you can do is layout. That's a big change because you have to follow a framework that we've built, and we've come up with like a very high converting. Bear in mind, I'm not saying this to be egotistical or show off, but we have so much data. We've worked with a lot of clients that we tested these frameworks on. So the biggest one is a framework, and I'm not going to go into every detail of that. It's actually having a landing page that takes someone through a journey. So, it's grabbing their attention above the fold. It's then transforming them from a non-customer of yours to a customer and seeing what that journey looks like and what the outcome looks like. It's then piquing their interest with the benefits and the features. We then go into objection handling. We also do comparison of your product versus maybe your competitors or another product that's on the market. And then, like you say, a really important call to action. To pick one, I would say is layout, but I don't think you can ever go wrong with, there's so many. Usability is a huge thing. So, that comes into what you were saying, Milan, about the kind of conflicting CTAs and call to actions, but making sure that, the user journey is just kind of very, very easy to get from page to checkout to confirmation. So many people get this wrong, even huge brands that we work with, and we come on board and they, force people to sign up before they can purchase, or, they have a two-step checkout and cart flow and horrible pre-purchase pop-ups and stuff. It's just making that journey as smooth as possible is really, really crucial. And again, you can never go wrong with social proof. I would test social proof everywhere. So above the fold, on your checkout pages. Social proof is a huge one, especially these days, because you can do so much with it. Don't just think of social proof as a testimonial. Imagine if that testimonial also handled an objection. So let's say my biggest concern of Mike's course was that it was going to take me 6 months to learn exactly what you were teaching, and I don't have the time. Well, why not have a testimonial that A, is a glowing testimonial for your business, great social proof, but also handles that objection? So why not have someone who's saying, for example, I was amazed that I could learn everything within 3 weeks. That's twofold. That's also social proof, but you're also handling that objection as well. So social proof is huge. I'm sorry, guys. I can't just say one, but there's so many important things. Yeah.
I love the social proof one by far for that exact reason.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what the ConversionWise funnel looks like, because I'd have thought that your funnel would be quite optimized, because that's kind of what you do. You focus more on landing pages, but what does your funnel look like in terms of, because I know you have a YouTube channel, you use LinkedIn, you have referrals, you also have, as you mentioned, an academy. How does that kind of filter clients or prospects into your kind of main offerings?
Yeah, really cool. I love talking about marketing. We are very good at organic marketing. We are not very good at paid marketing. So we have always been organic. I'm a huge advocate of 1,000 true fans. So we don't have a huge following. We have, say, 20,000 on LinkedIn. We have 7,000 or 8,000 on YouTube with the help from you guys. But we have an influx of organic leads. You would be amazed at how many organic leads we do. We probably do between 30 and 40 organic leads per week. But that has been built up over 10 years. So the overriding of all of this is consistency. So consistency is crucial. Like, if you're consistent and you keep going, you will be rewarded. This doesn't happen in 3 months. It doesn't happen in 6 months. 10 years it's taken us to get to this, but we have always been a big kind of believer in free content. I was obsessed, and still am, of being the go-to guy for all things CRO and landing pages. Whenever someone thinks of that online, if people don't tag me in, I'm genuinely upset. I'm genuinely insulted, because I do not give up. Even on my Twitter, we do run these series, and I think we've been running consistent now for almost 2 years of like every single week we're putting page breakdowns, we're putting CRO case studies, we're doing more than anyone in the space times 5. But it pays dividends of the inbound kind of organic leads that we get. So yeah, it's all about consistency. I when it comes to marketing, I like to envision it as a circle, and I sit in the middle of the circle. When I say it's our company, but I am kind of the face of the company. I have a co-founder who's way smarter than me, way better than me, but I am the one who can talk, obviously, talk for fucking England. But my point is, I'm in the middle of that circle, and the way I look at a journey of a consumer from someone who doesn't know us, they're cold, to someone who comes and gets on the phone with my sales team is touch points. I always allude to touch points. So I might have Twitter, I might have LinkedIn, I might have YouTube, I might have a newsletter. I'm omnipresent. I have all these channels that kind of I have a marketing team. I'm very lucky, but that we post on. And again, we don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. We don't. We only have 10,000 plus, probably about 12,000 on our newsletter, for example. We're not talking hundreds of thousands. We're not talking millions like you guys. But it's when you become that authority and they see multiple touch points. So the way the user journey goes is, you might stumble across me on Twitter and you might see one of my posts. You then sign up to my newsletter. You probably don't read the first 2 or 3, but 3 months later, you might then read one of my newsletters. You might then click on a video to YouTube and you might watch me on YouTube. You might then forget about me. But in 6 months, when someone has a conversation with you in a bar and says, have you done any CRO on your site? Because I think it's really important. You go, I know Oliver Kenyon from ConversionWise. I've had his newsletter. I've seen him on YouTube and I've read one of his Twitter posts. You then might be, on LinkedIn one day and see me. And it may only be 6 months to 8 months down the line when you see my content 3 or 4 times across all different platforms that you click a link to book in a call. But when you do that, you are very, very warm. You are warm to what I do. You know what I do. You know that I'm an authority. And that's then why our call to close rate is about 60 to 70%. So we are an authority within our space. We are consistent with content. And it's all about those touch points. So we go straight from landing page. This is another conversion killer, I believe. We've tested this as well. Agencies or services who just have a Calendly on their page. So what you want to do is put a type form or a form in between, because you'll find that due to time zones, due to impulse, there's a lot of people that just won't book in a call straight away, and you're losing so many leads. So you need to just put a simple type form in between those 2 steps that just says, what's your name? Tell us a little bit about your project. Only have 2 or 3 questions because otherwise they bounce as well. And then redirect to the Calendly where it says now fill in. Now, again, 70 to 80% of people will book a call in. But that 30% that would have not even filled in that form or clicked that Calendly, you then have their contact details with, and you can then follow up with them. So that works really well as well. But yeah, for us, it's all about omnipresence. It's about consistency. We're relentless with content. It's free content. And I'm just obsessed with being the go-to or the authority within the conversion space.
Yeah. One of the other guys that talks a lot about omnipresence is Dan Priestley, right? Like it's that
KPI,
7-11-4 rule or 8-11-4 rule.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, like, as you mentioned, you have a marketing team and you're fortunate enough to do that. Because for everybody that has tried to be omnipresent knows that it's a struggle to get there. So how did you guys start with your organic, and when did you really start seeing those results then?
Yeah, good question. First and foremost, Dan Priestley is like the best. So go read all his books.
The book,
KPI is like
it's an incredible
book that put me on my journey 10 years ago of becoming obsessed with being that person of influence. So go read all his books. That's how you start out. That's how I started out reading his books. I would suggest for those of you who don't have a team, and by the way, you don't get a team from day one unless you raise funds or unless you have a product that just sells organically. None of us are really that fortunate. I have a team because I've worked so hard, like genuinely so hard. I'm not just saying it, relentlessly for the last 10 years. It's only the last year or 2 that I've had a marketing team. We've always had a team, but a marketing team. Up until then, I've done it all. But yeah, to start with, I would lean into what you're good at. So I'm not necessarily in a networking way. I think I am after a few beers, but like I am probably more leaning towards extrovert. So, send fucking noise the shit out of my friends and my team, but you boys have been witness to this. I send voice notes. I don't write text. I'll send videos. I don't, get on a phone call. So I am very much leaning into talking. It's what I enjoy to do. I enjoy speaking. I get very, very passionate and articulate about what I'm good at. I'm bad at a lot of things, but what I'm good at, I believe I'm very good at, and I love talking about it. So if you are that sort of person, YouTube's, and shorts and maybe TikTok or whatever your audience is on, is best for you. If you are more into long form content, then you might want to look at things like Medium or Twitter. So have a think about what you are good at, and there's no right or wrong. And then it just, honestly, I'm like a long playing record, but it all comes down to consistency. The best thing you can do is be accountable to you, yourself, or someone else, or both. So what I would do, pick a platform that you think you are going to enjoy posting on and stick to a schedule. So it's one post per day at a bare minimum, and keep a spreadsheet. So have a spreadsheet and physically tick off every time you post every day and see that spreadsheet fill up. I started on Twitter probably 18 months to 2 years ago, and I started a spreadsheet and I came up with these content pillars, and I made this marketing plan of what content I was going to post every single day. And for a year, I didn't miss a single day apart from the weekends. No matter if it was Christmas, no matter if I'm on holiday, I became obsessed with like bang, 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 bang. And now, like I say, we generate probably 15 to 20 leads a week on Twitter because of that consistency. So, we started on Twitter, and now we're kind of going omnipresent and going into other, and we've always had things like YouTube, etc. But like we're now, because I've got a marketing team, we're doing it in a better way. If you've got funds, then hit me up, because I've actually invested, and we have a couple of guys that I mentor who are now productizing what I've done in the last couple of years. So they will take content, or they will take videos of you and repurpose it in the correct way across all different platforms. But yeah, for those of you who haven't, I would pick one or two, give it at least 3 to 6 months, and just be consistent with posting every single day. And don't worry about your first video, because it'll be shit and you'll forget about it, and no one's ever going to see it again, and no one's even going to watch it in the first place. So who cares? By the time you hit 6 months of posting daily, you'll be probably 10 times better than I am after 10 years.
Yeah. Totally agree. Like I started posting daily on LinkedIn, like every single day since November. And
nice.
The thing is,
you've got some good following, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, and the thing is, everybody says like consistency is key, right? And it's very easy to say, it's like, oh yeah, be consistent. But honestly, that is the hardest part of everything.
So hard.
And I think I missed maybe one day since then. But then the coolest thing, like we were doing paid marketing. And I believe last week or the week before was the first time that we had a sale from LinkedIn, straight from LinkedIn.
Love it.
And I was like, okay,
and that would just compound. That will compound.
Yeah.
That's the thing with that sort of marketing. It just compounds and compounds.
And that's the cool part, right? Because it snowballs as well. Like in the beginning, you think like, oh, 1 like, cool. But then after 3 weeks, you're like, oh, only 2 likes. And I've been posting every day. What happens? Yeah. But then the longer you post, like suddenly like more. And then it's like, it's really encouraging eventually, but you need to really push through. Yeah. Same with YouTube.
To break through, but that's why so many people give up and fail.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it was so nice, because I've seen the journey of Milan posting every single day for 5 or 6 months, and like nothing was really coming of it. We were getting a bit of engagement here and there, but then landing a really good client, like a well-paying client, from
like ICP client,
suddenly kind of proof of concept.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, it's a great feeling, but it takes time, and that's unfortunately what a lot of entrepreneurs or young people or people who are trying to make it on their own, break the 9 to 5, don't have. They don't have time, and they're not willing to put in the work. Everyone sees overnight successes, but they don't see what it takes to sell a company, or to have 40 inbound leads, organic, and closing at 70%. Like you haven't seen the hours I put in. It's been ridiculous.
I can only imagine. So you guys then get like hundreds of leads per month. Do you have a specific sales team attached to that, or is that you as well, or how does that go for you guys?
No, it was me for years. So for the first like 7-8 years, I've sold because I love it, and that's what I'm good at, marketing and sales. But we brought on a small sales team. Liza, who you guys know, is head of our sales, so she takes most of the calls and does most of the closing now. But again, I think people tend to overcomplicate sales teams. I have a lot of agency friends and connections who think they have to put in, outbound systems, and they have to put in SDRs to kind of pre-qualify and then close. Like, I think it was a Grant Cardone quote, and don't quote me on this, and I'm not a huge fan of Grant, but I love the quote was, it's something like, if you end a sales call and you don't close the sale, it's not because they didn't want to buy from you. It's because you didn't have anything to sell to them. So that's what we've tried to do as well in our services, is have like a price point and an offering for each and every person. Because, Mike, like you said, we obviously have our academy, which is low ticket. Our academy starts at $47 per month. It's very low ticket. If you want to work with our CRO A/B testing solution, it's minimum $5K per month on a 3-month contract. So completely different. And we have people paying us, 15, 20K a month on that solution as big, huge brands. So it's the scale is different, but again, I look at it almost like a conveyor belt. So we have free content, which is our kind of the seeds of the tree, and then moving up the tree, we then have our academy, which is the 47. What we find is a lot of people get into our academy, and then we become even more of an authority to them because they go through the course, they join our calls, we do audits for them, they trust us, we get them some results, and then what happens is they probably earn a bit more money, they have some budget, they then want to pay us. So then they come onto one of our design solutions typically. And then because we design them a landing page that converts, they can spend more media money. They then get better conversions. They make more profit. And then they come into our ongoing CRO solution. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like a tree, or roots of the tree up into the tree, then the branches, or a conveyor belt. But I think it's important to have, again, some people will tell you differently. This is what I know, and this is what's worked for us. And I think that's an entrepreneurial lesson is you shouldn't take advice from everyone. It's whatever works for you. But my opinion, what's worked for us is having that kind of like journey and that price point, because it just gives people trust. They then want to spend a bit more, see results. They want to spend a bit more. And we just take people. It's so cool that we've actually taken some brands from like 5-figure brands inside our academy or free content to 6-figure brands on our design to now 8-9-figure brand using our optimized solution, which is just amazing.
And those are the best.
I think that's great advice. Yeah, I think that's really good advice.
I love that.
I'm also not a fan of Grant Cardone, but that quote is amazing.
I'm pretty sure it was him. Someone told me it, but I'm pretty sure it was him. Yeah. But I kind of really do believe that, and that's why I do put somewhat pressure on our sales team, because I'm like, we've got everything, so you shouldn't get off a phone call without selling to people. $47 per month is affordable for anyone. They would not be having a sales call if they couldn't afford $47.
Sure.
So I know people in the similar spaces, etc., who will listen to this and they'll say I'm talking a load of rubbish and argue with me, and that's fine. But what's always worked for us, and what's always worked when we've mentored companies or worked with other agencies that are starting up, or services or courses or whatever you want to go down, is like, to begin with, you have to be yes men. Now, you want to get to a position where you're not yes men. Of course you do, because that's the best position to be in, when you can say no to people. But in the beginning, you have to be flexible. It's not easy to start a business and generate revenue. So you have to find that middle ground in the beginning. If people want a small discount, give it to them, as long as you maybe sign a longer contract, or if someone doesn't want that particular part of your service or course, but they're willing to give you money for that, then do it, because in the beginning it's all about revenue. I would say recurring revenue is most important, but it's all about revenue, because when you have revenue, you can make far clearer decisions. You can bring staff in, you can spend money on softwares, on things that are going to get you moving up and up. So I think you need to be flexible. You need to be yes men in the beginning. Hopefully you soon then become no men, but I think that's
I mean, especially with the idea of like how powerful testimonials and case studies are. We're like going through that right now, and
exactly.
You said you were doing most of it for a very long time. When is that moment that you are willing to hand that over to someone? And is Liza part of the founding team, or like of a bigger team, or is she like hired force into it? Because I think that's also already like a big difference as well, because Mike and I started together doing sales calls. Then
Yep.
then we started getting busier, so I did the fulfillment side of things, and Mike has continued to doing the sales calls, but he also has other things to do. So what is that tipping point?
Really a question that we've been through. So I feel I'm qualified to answer this, definitely. So we were the same. So me and Andy, very similar to yourself and Mike. I was more of the sales and marketing, the face, whereas Andy is very operational, great at SOPs, team management, etc. So for the first probably 7 years of our business, we had very much what you would call a lifestyle business. It was an amazing business. I come from nothing, as in I had a very good upbringing. I didn't lack money, but when I mean I come from nothing, when I left home at sort of 19, 20, and I was a chef. I was a full-time chef. I was earning $1,500 per month doing every fucking hour under the sun as a chef. So when I say I come from nothing, I don't. That's not a throwaway statement. I mean, as in I didn't have money. So we were earning what I would class good money. It was very nice. We were earning money. We were traveling. We were, messing around. We didn't have wives, or we had long-term girlfriends who are now our wives, thank goodness. But we didn't have wives or children or commitments. So, we ran a lifestyle business. It was only after about 6-7 years that me and Andy sat down and we turned to each other and we said, do we want to do this again for another 6-7 years in the same platform? And one of the hardest decisions in any business, and again, I've seen this mentoring and I've seen this time and time again, is hiring, is having the balls to actually pay someone X amount per month and committing to that person, because it's a large a chunk of your incomings that are now outgoings that you could have taken and you could have grabbed. But I think the second you hire is the second you replace yourself, and you are far better working, it's a very cliche, but on the business rather than in the business. Mm-hmm. So for us, I still to this day love sales, and I would go back to sales. I'm obsessed with sales because I'm a very probably a shallow person, but I perform best on quick wins. So when our CRO team gets wins, I'm fucking buzzing. When we get a good lead, I'm buzzing. Like if we don't get a sale for like 24 hours, I'm miserable. My wife doesn't even talk to me. Like, so that's my personality. So I love sales, but we took that kind of risk when we started hiring account managers to replace Andy on that side and sales team to replace me on this side, because we didn't want to do it for another 6-7 years. No. We wanted to scale something bigger. Our mission, our purpose was something bigger, and you'll never, especially in agency service or that kind of business, you'll never take it further if you are doing the day in, day out. It just doesn't work like that. You just don't have the time to do it. So the way I look at it is, the best thing to do is write down everything that you do. So write down your whole day, like for a whole week, just document your whole day. And you can probably replace 80% of that with someone else. And it just then becomes a monetary decision. How much is this going to cost me to replace this 80%? But then if I am then free from 80% of my day, how much more is this company going to generate? And that's the key thing. If you bring in the right people, you train them, with Liza, I was on all her sales calls. I would always recommend that if you're starting an agency or a service or a course, be on all the sales calls, take them, because you soon will understand how to sell your product. You will understand the objections, you'll understand the questions, you'll understand the price point, what people want, what people don't want, how to validate it. So always do that. But when you've got it down to a fine art, bring someone in, because again, it's a risk versus reward. In the UK, if we hire someone in the UK, they have a 3-month probation. So the worst case is work out what we're paying them per month and times it by 3. That's our worst case scenario. Now, for what we sell, if we didn't sell anything in that first 3 months, obviously we lose, let's say, 7K. But if we sell just one of our solutions in that first 3 months, we probably break even. So that's 3 months that I'm willing to take a risk on, because if this person is not selling in 3 months, then they're not good enough anyway, and we'll have to move on. So, work out a probation, work out maybe a lower salary, but high incentive. So they're really incentivized to sell. And just give them a 3-month probation, and you'll be amazed at how much people can work for your company and be good, big success, but B, how much more effective and more efficient when you free up your time and don't have to worry about the revenue and other processes. that you can work on the business. You can start taking bigger swings, looking at bigger plays, and growing quicker. And, it was when we started bringing in people. And like I say, I think we've now got a team of 42. And when we started bringing in people, it's when we started to blow up, expand for sure.
Yeah, I think that's very helpful for us to like the part where I think we could talk forever as we usually do. For people that want to find you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Just a last one on that sales thing. I think that thing that's super important is to put pressure on yourselves. So put a goal in mind, put a target in mind, because if you're just aiming every month and you're like, we did 1 sale last month, 2 sales this month, you'll just continue to do that. Like, you need to be super fucking aggressive with yourselves. So right, 5 sales next month and nothing matters. And make sure that whoever it is, like, let's say we split you two, like Milan, your processes team, Mike, your sales marketing, you need to both be super, super accountable to each other. So like, say it out loud, set a goal. And if you don't hit it, you've let the other one down. And, you make all the decisions when it comes to sales and marketing. You make all decisions when it comes to ops and hires and team and project management. But put it out there and put yourselves under pressure. And if you hit it, go and celebrate it. But you need goals every single month. Thanks, guys, for having me. I really do appreciate it. You can find me at Oliver Kenyon on most socials, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, all of the above. And if you want to see what we do, head on over to ConversionWise.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, Oliver.
Thanks, lads.